On today's Toy Spot, we are having a look at the new Neca Pacific Rim Jaeger Crimson Typhoon. The other Jaeger from the 3-figure set. This comes to us from the good folks over at Neca. And Spot picked this up from the good folks over at Super Power Collectibles. If you guys want a good website to go to pick up really awesome collectibles, incredible customer service, and really good savings on free delivery, certainly over $99, definitely check out Super Power Collectibles. And the good folks over at Super Power Collectibles have also offered you guys a coupon code down below, which I will provide, which will save you $10 off a purchase order of $75 or more. That's a good savings, so definitely check that down below. But this is a 3-figure set. Now, I really ripped apart, and looking at it now, you know what? I still look at that figure, and I'm going to do a comparison when we get this opened up. Still looking at the Gypsy Danger, I don't think as if I don't feel as if I was too harsh on the figure. I still think its paint is a real culprit to how that figure could have been better, and it just unfortunately wasn't. The Crimson Typhoon, however, even though I don't have it out of package just yet, I think has a much more realistic paint coloring to it. I'm hoping it's not going to disappoint me. Down below, however, there is a picture of the Crimson Typhoon right there. Warning, of course, choking hazard, small parts, not for children under 3 years of age. Turn around the back of the package. There is a picture of the Crimson Typhoon, the Mark IV Jaeger. Unfortunately, there is no read-up, which would have been a nice asset to have. But you can collect all three of them. And Spot has picked up all three. There's the Gypsy Danger, the Knife Head, and Crimson Typhoon. What I am going to do is take a break. I'm going to get this opened up, and when we come back, we're going to get a better look at the Jaeger Crimson Typhoon. Don't go anywhere. More on the way. The Crimson Typhoon definitely has a better presence to him than that of the Gypsy Danger. You know, something that Spot didn't actually mention when I did the review of the Crimson Danger, or the Gypsy Danger, excuse me, the Crimson Typhoon is here. But really, either of the Jaegers, I think what would have been a fun accessory that Neca did not include would have been a smaller things that you could have had the Jaegers holding. Something just to give them the overall feeling of what scale they would be to like buildings, buses, boats, and whatnot. Had they just given them like little small boats or something that you could have had in their hand, you would have really got the overall feel for how big this thing in real world would have been. Now, as you know what, as a comparison, I'm going to bring him in right away. As a comparison, there is the Gypsy Danger. I'm going to get the Crimson Typhoon to stay still there. There is definitely a very distinct difference between the two, and that's one thing I really like. As far as I know, like these are government built, so you have different governments making their respected Jaegers. So I like between the two, there's a very distinct difference between them. They're not just a copy of the other. Perhaps one has a more practical use for having him designed a certain way over, say, the other one. So between the two, there's a nice contrast. I'm really feeling as if I like Gypsy Danger more just for just the overall aesthetics of how he looks. However, Crimson Typhoon definitely has a better applied way that he was built, and definitely a much better way that he was painted. Whereas I felt the Gypsy Danger, as good of a design as he was, the paint really suffered. And you know what? Again, I don't feel as if I was too harsh on it. I really think looking at it still, the paint definitely could have been a lot better on him. Comparing that, however, to the Crimson Typhoon definitely has a better realistic approach to him. Now, he doesn't have the weathering or the damage to him that I had critiqued with with Gypsy Danger. I keep getting the two confused. With Gypsy Danger, he had just more of a plastic look to him. When you get to Crimson Typhoon, on the other hand, he does still look like he's plastic, but it could be just the fact that because the coloring of the plastic that they used, it still looks more metallic than that of the other one. His face doesn't really have so much of a face in this case, but it's very mechanical, and I like that. There's a lot more mechanical aspects to Typhoon here versus that of Gypsy Danger. Also, something else you probably have noticed is the Crimson Typhoon has the additional third arm. Having not seen the movie, and I don't really know the reasoning for it yet, I don't know why he has two arms on the one side. Just as a hunch, and I'm probably going to be completely wrong, maybe this is one arm and at some point it separates out into two. I really don't know. But one arm is distinctly different than the other. It has more of a claw hand, and it's much beefier in design. And it also has the additional shoulder plate, which has some really nice detailing on there. There's a little bit of silver there, and I'm not going to immediately say that is a paint error. Perhaps that is a scratch that's in the metal that this logo has come slightly off. I don't know. It's possible. It's a really neat logo there. There's some... is that Japanese? I'm going to assume that's Japanese. If it isn't, I apologize. But really nice detailing there. Really, really small detailing that unfortunately the other one didn't really have. Now instead of the... I guess they kind of share a similar metallic color. This one is a little more pewter of a color than the other one had. His overall coloring is this crimson, almost a crimson brown. He's got the chrome, the pewter here, and he's got a little bit of the gold. There's a little bit of gold. It's more like a dirtier, almost mustard gold that is outlining some of the panels, a little bit there as well. It's a cleaner design. For at least how he was painted, it's definitely a cleaner design than the Gypsy Danger. Some nice details there as well. Now going to the other two arms are much smaller than that of the larger arm, and they have more of a actual hand, or something that resembles more of a hand than the giant claw here. So maybe this serves more as a... Maybe whereas the other one was more for a style, this one actually has a purpose. One big hand for grabbing maybe larger things, and this smaller hand's more for intricate, well, as intricate as a giant robot could be, but more intricate work. In the way of his articulation, he has a lot. Now, it also helps too, he's got the additional arms. His head, for example, does move left and right. It does also move up and down. And it looks as if he's supposed to have pistons, and I'm not sure why, but this whole section here is separated, and I don't think it looked like it attached to anything. Maybe it did. Maybe there was actually an attachment right here, or they just given the indication that there was a piston there, and you're not supposed to notice the fact that it's separate from the rest. I don't know. I don't know. But his head does surprisingly have a lot of movement to it. When you get to the shoulders, the larger arm moves left and right. It moves out. He has a bend in the elbow. Doesn't look like he has any rotation in the arms themselves, at least the forearm. And the hand does rotate. I mean, I would have loved if these could have actually moved, but I can understand due to them being too fragile. These arms independently move as well, left and right. This arm moves out. This arm, I would imagine, does move out as well, but I can't seem to get it to move. So that tells Spot to leave it alone. They have a hinge in the elbow, and they also have a hinge in the hands. No swivel in the hands, so if I can't get that arm out, and I don't really want to break it, but it's going to hinder at least posing this arm for doing anything more than, unless I have like the arm forward and then this arm kind of doing something else here. Luckily though, it still has the very rewarding, and this is something I really have to commend Neca for doing, is a very rewarding ball joint in the upper torso. The Gypsy Danger had the exact same thing, but it really allows you to get a lot of posability, a lot of movement into, like, you can really pose it, especially if you've got knife head here, you can really pose it like this one is getting knocked back and it's really getting flung off of its balance. That I really like. His legs do go out, move forward, back. He does have a bend in the knee. He also has a secondary bend in the, I guess if you want to call it, around the calf area, and also a hinge in the foot. Now, whereas the Gypsy Danger had 2 points, one in the ankle and then one in the front foot, Typhoon only has a solid foot piece. It actually is not in 2 pieces. But still, you can get a lot of poses in him. I was a little concerned with he be a little top heavy because he's got the 2 arms and he's a little beefier in the upper torso. But surprisingly, with the articulation as it is, you can get him to stand really, really well. I feel as if Typhoon was executed better and has a better paint job. I still feel, though, that I almost like Gypsy Danger more. More on a design, but Typhoon's got a better paint job. So it's a toss-up, really, as to which is the better Jaeger. Better design for me, better paint job, though. The Crimson Typhoon, I'm going to give the Crimson Typhoon a 7.5. The choice is entirely up to you which one you'd rather go with. I think, obviously, getting both of them is a really nice dynamic between having the 2 distinct designs. Stay tuned, however, Spot still, of course, got the review heading your way of Knife Head. Knife Head is definitely going to be around the corner as well. And again, Spot's going to provide the link down below for Super Power Collectibles. So again, if you want to make use of the coupon code and save yourself $10, definitely want to jump on that as well. As always, thank you guys for watching, as you always do. Certainly more spots on the way, including, again, Knife Head, so stay tuned for that. I'll see you guys next time.